According to Hall, assessing learners is about collecting information or evidence on learning and making judgment about it. For this assignment, I decided to shadow my co-lead, and as she assessed or evaluated our staff. I am a manager for the City of Phoenix for an after-school program, and at my site there's 2 leads, and since I am new and I'm still in training, I am required to shadow someone while evaluations are being conducted, which fell hand in hand with this assignment. So the evaluations took place on November 9th, and my co-lead evaluated Ozzy, one of our instructors, and this took place at our site at Clarendon Elementary. When observing, my co-lead had a checklist that she would evaluate how Ozzy interacted with the kids, how well he knew our lesson plans, and his overall performance. This was an all-day event, and then we had to be, or the staff was not able to be aware of when we were doing the evaluations. They knew that we were doing evaluations. They know that evaluations are usually before Thanksgiving break, but they're not allowed to know when we did this, which I thought it was really cool because they got that raw taste of how they performed without us evaluating them, without them knowing. So it takes away from that fakeness of it, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And so some of the questions that on the checklist as well is we had to check to make sure he was on time, he was wearing the correct uniform head to toe, maintains good work relationships with staff and students, and personal information is confidential when working with their PAC participants, and presents a friendly and warm demeanor. As she conducted the evaluation, she wrote down different notes if necessary that helped support her ratings towards the staff. And this is a way, or at the end of the evaluation, we told the staff that he was being evaluated, and everything is discussed and reviewed before we sent it off to our main supervisor. There's definitely some ways that this evaluation aligns with the book. We did an evaluation in secret to see raw interactions. According to Hall, the evidence may be based on one or more of the followings: what the learner says, what the learner does, what the learner proceeds. And with this, I thought this went very hand in hand, because we got to see raw evidence, and we got to see what he did on certain occasions. I would totally agree with how the staff was being evaluated. The procedure was very tedious, but I also understand the discreteness of it and the rawness of it, and how it definitely helped us to evaluate and see where he was and where he stood. Another way I think this would be a good way to evaluate staff is having them evaluate themselves. So according to Hall, again, having learners assess themselves in a relationship with their own previous performance rather than normative evaluations involving ranking with peers is also encouraged. So this is a good way for a staff to compare themselves and what we saw and what they think of themselves. I think oftentimes people lower their standards when evaluating themselves. So I think having my staff evaluate themselves and then taking a step back and looking at how we evaluate them would be a very good learning opportunity, because they're able to see how we thought of them, and it may be totally different of the way they thought they handled a situation. We can also give that helping hand. So my last quote from Hall is learners also need to be able to establish their own goals for learning, which in turn suggests that they need to have an opportunity to navigate with their teachers and their own learning and targets. So from this, my staff can learn and build from what they're learning, and I think this is a very important skill to develop. And I hope this would this would be another way to evaluate my staff and the growing and life learners.